Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
You're welcome, Prabhu. Thank you very much for coming. So please, you can start, Prabhu.
Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Giranjana Salakaya Chakshurum Mina Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Om Shabda Krishna Sambhadeshwara Swami Namo Shabda Guru Ram Vishabdaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishishya Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanshakalpatarubhischa Kripasindu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So, welcome to all the devotees to this morning Bhagavatam session. Morning for you, here is already afternoon. So today we have first canto, chapter 5 and text number 14. Do you have should I share my screen, Prabhu? Oh, you already, that's your screen. Okay, because I have the same. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is this is Narada Muni talking with his disciple Vyasadeva. So we have two avatars of the Lord. One is the compiler avatar Vyasadeva, and one is the avatar who gives devotional service. Narada means one who gives Narayana. Da means giving. And Nara means Narayana. So he's the avatar of Bhakti. So two very special personalities that they have this exchange. So let's learn something from this. Tatonyata kinchana yad vivakshataha shastat krita rupa nama bihi nakarichit kvapi cha dushtita matir labheta vata hata nahur ivaspadham. Synonyms, word by word. Tata, from that, anyata, apart, kinchana, something, yat, whatsoever, vivakshataha, desiring to describe, pratak, separately, drishaha, vision, tatkrita, reactionary to that, rupa, form, nama bihi, by names, nakarichit, never, kvapi, any, cha, and, dushtitamatihi, oscillating mind, labheta, gains, vata ahata, troubled by the wind, nahu, boat, eva, like, aspadam, place. Translation. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind, as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vyasadeva is the editor of all descriptions of the Vedic literatures. And thus, he has described transcendental realization in different ways, namely by fruitive activities, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and devotional service. Besides that, in his various Puranas, he has recommended the worship of so many demigods in different forms and names. The result is that people in general are puzzled how to fix their minds in the service of the Lord. They are always disturbed about finding the real path of self-realization. Srila Narada Deva is stressing this particular defect in the Vedic literatures compiled by Vyasadeva. And thus he is trying to emphasize describing everything in relation with the Supreme Lord and no one else. In fact, there is nothing existent except the Lord. The Lord is manifested in different expansions. He is the root of the complete tree. He is the stomach of the complete body. Pouring water on the root is the right process to water the tree, as much as feeding the stomach supplies energy to all parts of the body. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva should not have compiled any Puranas other than the Bhagavata Purana, because a slight deviation from that may create havoc for self-realization. If a slight deviation can create such havoc, then what to speak of deliberate expansion of the ideas separate from the absolute truth, personality of Godhead? The most defective part of worshiping demigods is that it creates a definite conception of pantheism, ending disastrously in many religious sects, detrimental to the progress of the principles of the Bhagavatam, which alone can give the accurate direction for self-realization in eternal relation with the personality of God by devotional service in transcendental love. The example of the boat disturbed by whirling wind is suitable in this respect. The diverted mind of the pantheist can never reach the perfection of self-realization due to the disturbed condition of the selection of object. Jai. So, let's repeat the verse word by word, sentence by sentence. I read for you, you repeat, even if you're muted. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision, from the Lord, simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind. As the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Okay. So, this analogy you find it also in Bhagavad Gita in a different context. There in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Krishna says that any of the senses, we have 5 senses, 5, it's called Gyanendriyas, perceptive senses. Any of the senses which becomes ensnared and trapped, slave of their own object, it carries out the mind. Just like a wind takes away a boat which has no anchor, any of the senses. So here, the same analogy, but it's a different context. Here it says, look, dear Vyasadeva, you describe so many things, so many demigods, so many rituals, so many objectives, and people will just be agitated. They won't know that Krishna is their friend, is their lover, is their master, is their goal of life. They worship this, they worship that. Once I was in Guyana in South America. Guyana, it's a small country. There's not even 1 million people in the whole country. And there are many Christians. There are many Hindus, because originally they brought workers from India. So there's a lot of Indian descendants. And there are also some Muslims. So I was looking at this Guyana place, and I was seeing how culturally, in terms of Vedic literature, in terms of architecture, in terms of the external aspect of culture, we, the Hare Krishnas, are more close to the Hindus. Our temple, our dome, how we build, the instruments we use, the type of flavor in our painting. So as culture, we are similar to the Hindus, but actually as theology, as philosophy, we are more close to the Muslims and to the Christians. Because both Muslims and Christians, you know them very well in West Africa, both Muslims and Christians, they're very clear. There is one supreme God. Monotheism. They, sometime in the past, they were so strict historically that they even rejected the idea of devatas, of demigods. I mean, that's kind of too much, because the devatas exist. There is the devata of the sun, the devata of the moon, the devata of the ocean. There are 330 million devatas, big and small. Just like in the country, there are so many ministers and office of the government. Some are big ministers, like defense or interior minister, things like that. And some are very, very small little offices that they deal with small things. So similarly, there are demigods. So in some traditions, like Islam and Christianity, at one point they just rejected, no, there are no demigods. There is only God. So that made another problem, because then you start seeing nature as impersonal. You start seeing that everything is just for the exploitation of men. There's only, you even think, some people start thinking that only men have souls, which is absurd. But this is unfortunately for hundreds and thousands of years been the philosophy of some people. And so the mood is that everything is there's just a God, there's just man, and this world is only for men. That's a general mood. And so we can do anything to animals or to plants, to trees, because anyway, they don't have souls, and it's all matter, and it doesn't matter. Okay? So no, we need to understand there is God, there are devatas, and there are souls in everybody, in every plant, in every insect, in every animal, and so on. So unless we understand the nature of the universe, it's very difficult to have a balanced view. But at the same time, I understand, reading this verse, I understand why some theologians, some leaders of certain religions just rejected the concept of devatas. Because they say, look, if there is devatas, then people may want to worship them. And this is not good. So in that, they're right, but the devatas are there. So they are part of the equation. You cannot just say they're not there. Just like you cannot just say, no, there is a president of the country and there are no ministries, there are no offices. You'll get into a lot of trouble. You'll get a lot of trouble. So there are devatas. There are, and there is life everywhere. There are some small devatas, just of rivers, just of hills, just of particular places. So we need to be respectful to everybody, but obviously without seeing them as supreme. Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion says, one principle of devotional service is to respect the devatas. Respect, not worship. See, worship means depend on their mercy. It means building a relation. We don't want to do that, but at the same time, we want to respect. Some Vaishnava traditions, some Vaishnava lineage, they're more, we could say, more focused on worshiping the devatas alongside God. They know the philosophy, but they say, okay, no, Ganesh is also a devotee of God, Shiva is also a devotee of God. Like the Madhva, traditionally we are from a Madhva matrix, the Madhva root. There are so many differences, but the Madhvas, they have, you can go and see in their temple, they're very strict. They're strictly monotheistic, very, very strict. But if you go in their temple, they have an altar for Shiva, they have an altar of Ganesh, and they understand these are devotees, these are Vaishnavas, and we worship. They worship Hanuman and so on. Once a sannyasi, ISKCON sannyasi, went to a Madhva ceremony and he started blasting the pujari and say, oh, you're worshiping the devatas, you should not do this. And this pujari was really confused because this is our tradition. We are not doing anything wrong. We understand that these are devatas, they are servants of the Lord. Just like we do Guru Puja, we don't think Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada is God. We don't think he is the Supreme Personality of God, but we do Guru Puja. Sometimes even with the altar open. So we do Guru Puja, we worship the Guru, and but we understand he is the representative of God. Similarly, these Madhvas, they know. If you go to some bhajan programs, for instance, they start with bhajans of Hanuman, bhajans of Ganesh, bhajans of Shiva, and then slowly they come to Krishna. Okay, but for people who don't have clear direction, I mean, the Madhvas, they have Madhvacharya, and there are so many acharyas. People don't have clear direction, they will be confused. And their mind will be just like on a boat, very agitated. Just like you see the Indians. I mean, you don't have many Indians in West Africa, but when you see, for instance, in India, the Indians, the Hindus tend to be very, very disturbed in mind. And it's like a business. It's like a business. They just worship the devatas to get something out of it, a career, an advancement in career, or some job, or passing some exams and things like that. So I like very much this verse because it's very philosophical. It says that the mind would be disturbed by form and names. Nama bihi, rupa nama, nama rupa. There are many forms in this world. There are many names that go with these forms, and we are agitated. And we what do you call? We put our emotions into them. And West Africa is a very typical example because West Africa, traditionally, it was divided into kingdom, right? Like, for instance, in Ghana, you have the Ashanti kingdom, right? And in Nigeria, you have other kingdoms, other groups. But then something external came in some place, the British, in some place, the French, another place, the Germans, and so on. And they imposed names which was not there before, and they imposed forms. They shaped these countries, right? They made this Nigeria in a certain way. They made Togo in a very small way. It's a little strange. You have the capital, Lomé, right on the border, which is kind of strange. And you have Ivory Coast, and it's all very artificial. Like Ghana, Ghana before was called, before, I don't know how it was called in the local language, but at one point they called it the Golden Coast, right? You know that. And then they changed to Ghana. And then they put a flag, and people are supposed to love that flag. They put 3 colors, or in Nigeria, 2 colors. And people are supposed to give their heart. Oh, this is my flag. Then they put a song to the country. And people are supposed to give their heart to the country, sometimes their life to the country. And then there is some sports event, like World Cup of football. and people put their mind, oh, they really love Ghana, if they're from Ghana, or they really love Nigeria, if they're from Nigeria, or like that. So you see how the mind is agitated by names and forms, which are totally artificial. They're not real. It's some foreign country, some foreign power. They come to West Africa, they fight. Okay, this is my, so we speak English, this is my, we speak French. They put some lines, they put a flag, they put an anthem, they put a name. It's all artificial. And people's mind are agitated. People's mind are truly agitated by this. They start identifying with these things. So Narada Muni, in a more philosophical sense, is saying the same. Look, you're talking about so many things in these Puranas, and people will be confused. Their mind will be confused because they will just, of course, in a more civilized way, but they will start thinking, what can I get from these devatas? What can I get from these demigods? You know, so they'll worship this, they worship that. I want a good wife, I worship this. They want something else, they worship that. So there's a lot of mixture. Just like in West Africa, you know that, I don't know about the Muslims, but maybe most of them, but many Christians, they have their Bible, they have their Jesus and so on, but they still do black magic, right? They do, they still do juju. Because that's not pure bhakti, right? They're not just trying for pure bhakti. They're trying sometimes to put the curse on somebody, or they try to get some power over somebody else. So you can see how their mind is agitated. They go in the some of, no, I'm not saying everybody. I don't want to oversimplify. I don't want to generalize. But many people, they may go to the church and then sing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And then they go back and then do some black magic against the neighbor, no? Which has nothing to do with Christianity, which has nothing to do with the message of Jesus. Okay, so the mind of people are certainly agitated. We have so many identities. Christian identity, black magic identity, tribal identity, very strong in West Africa. What tribe am I coming from? And then we have this nationalism, which has been imposed completely from nothing. Oh, Ghana and my football team, and another Nigeria, my football team, and my flag, and my anthem. So this is all disturbance of the mind. And who knows, in 100 years, in 1,000 years, all this will be gone. There'll be other names, other flags, other anthems, other languages. We don't know. We don't know. Like that. But in India, in one sense, there is a longer tradition of confusion. So India is much more confused than anywhere else. because in other places there is confusion, but at least it's limited. There are different there are limited sources of confusion. And there are sometimes very clear points, like, you know, every Christian, every Muslim may not be pure, but they know there is one God. There's one God. And West Africa is a place where you go around, you see so many shops, mechanic workshops. They all have these names, the glory of God, or, you know, in the service of Jesus, or no, because they have this, that at least with very clear thing that, okay, that's the highest thing. Then they may do a little juju on the side, but they know, okay, this is the highest thing. Okay. But in India, the Hindus are very generally very, very confused because of the lack of preaching. You see, one difference between India and West Africa, in West Africa, there are preachers. I mean, there's so many preachers, sometimes too many, but there are preachers, and they preach to people. They preach the Bible, okay? I mean, you know, some of you were in that religion before, so you grew up going to church or something, and there are preachers, and they are very strong. So the Bible says that you have to do this, you have to do this, and they preach against adultery. They preach, give charity, and they preach. In India, really, there is not much preaching besides few like ISKCON, like that. There's more like ritualism. You go to the temple, you pay the pujari. He doesn't really care about your spiritual advancement. You give the money. He takes a coconut. He takes this turmeric. He takes this vermilion, and he does some mantras. Blah 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 blah. And then you think, okay, now hopefully I get some blessings from the gods. And it's very, very, very different. You don't see. I mean, obviously there are. If you go to some Sri Vaishnava temple, some Madhva temple, there is some preaching. There is class on the Bhagavatam. There is class on the Vedas. I'm not saying there is zero, but often there is nothing, or there is some completely bogus philosophies that you're God, you can become God, or no matter what you do, that everything is there's nothing, there's no Krishna, or Krishna just a manifestation of Brahman. There's so much confusion, and people don't have shelter. People don't have shelter. And here Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport that Vyasadeva described the path of realization through different ways: fruitive activities, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and devotional service. There is a story in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Many of you know this story. The story is that it's an analogy. The story is that there was a poor man, and this poor man goes to an astrologer. That's another thing that creates a lot of confusion. But anyway, that's a different thing. We could talk hours about that. But anyway, there is astrology, and there was an astrologer, and this man was poor. He really didn't have money. And he went to astrologer and said, "Can you look at my chart? What's my destiny? Right now, I'm really suffering." So then this astrologer was good. He looked at the chart and he says, "But actually, I can see you're very rich. I can see you're very rich. Your father, when he left you a big treasure under the house. You don't know, so you live like a pauper, but actually you're rich." And then he says, "But be careful, because if you dig in the south, there will be many wasps that will come out. There's a nest of wasps, very dangerous. They will come out and hit you, pierce you, bite you. They will kill you everywhere. And if you go west, in the west, you see that there is there's a ghost. So if you start digging, this big ghost, powerful ghost, will come out and will possess you. Will make you mad. Will completely being under his control. So don't dig west. And then, if you dig in the north, what happens? There is a big snake, very poisonous snake. So if you dig there, this snake will come out and will bite it. It's completely very, 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 very dangerous. It'll kill you. So be careful. So you have to dig in the east. That's very clean. It's very, very simple, very easy. You just dig, you get there. No problem. Okay. So now I want to ask the devotees, besides, of course, Shivas Prabhu, Kavikarnapur Prabhu, what are these four things? So you can unmute yourself, or if you like, you can write in the chat. You need to tell me which one are those things. And you need to tell me one at a time. So first question is, what is south? What it means south? What are these wasps? Who can tell me? You can write in the chat. We don't have prizes. We don't have rewards, but there is the satisfaction. What are these wasps? What is south means? Anybody? Any try? We have Giridhari Puja Prabhu. We have Arundhati Devi, Loka Devi, Ekashringa Prabhu, Salika Das Prabhu. We also have Kavichandra Maharaj or Krishna Maharaj, may have businesses, unless somebody's using your account. So we have Atma Devi, Devarishi, Ganga Prasad Prabhu, George Prabhu, Amegha Prabhu. Sorry. Oh, we have Iskon Togo, Gyana Chakshush Prabhu. Anybody wants to say Sahadev Prabhu? He's a scholar. What is this south? What does it mean digging south to go through the treasure? You can unmute or you can write in the chat. Any ideas? Anyone? You want me to tell you? You want me to tell you? Okay, I'll tell you then. So the south is the path of fruitive activities, karma kanda. In other words, there are sections on the Vedic literature that say, okay, you do this sacrifice, you do that other sacrifice, through this you worship these devatas, you get to the Svarga Loka, these heavenly planets. But these are considered like wasps because there's a lot of rituals, a lot of rules and regulations. Don't do this, don't do that. And you got to have this coconut and the other thing. And this, you got to do it at this time, at that time. It's really, in one sense, it's a major, major harassment. But also because then it's still, you still go into the cycle of birth and death. Doesn't really solve anything. So even if you go, you get a little something, you still have to fight, you still have to struggle, you still have to suffer, you still have to grow old, the disease and all that. Okay? And the desires, because it's based on desires, it's like a wasp biting you. It's based on desires, on kama, on lust and greed. So it's really a big headache. It's clear? Okay. Now, who can tell me what is the digging in the west? The ghost.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Sense gratification.
Good try, but no. no. Good try, but it's not. Also because
economic development.
no. That's more like karma kanda, but no. See, remember, these are paths to somewhat Vedic paths, sense gratification anybody has. But thank you for trying. You'll get the consolation prize, but the moral consolation prize. What's the ghost? What's the ghost that possesses you? You know about possessions by ghosts, right? I mean, you heard about them. So what is this? Captures the mind. Anybody else? We have Chika Bangi is connecting to audio. You want to say something, Chika Bangi? Do you want me to tell you? Okay, I'll tell you. It is Jnana Kanda, the path of speculative knowledge. And why is like a ghost? Because one is always speculating on the philosophy. In Sanskrit, they say neti neti is not this, is not that. Brahman is something else. They're always speculating on the Upanishads, which are very difficult, very summarized expressions, you know. And so it's very hard for the mind. They're trying to really understand that we are not this body, just with the mind, and this world is temporary. And so Jnana Kanda, they want to merge into Brahman, but just through philosophy, just through intellectualism. So it's like a ghost, no? And these people, like a ghost, often they start thinking, I'm God, which is really like a big illusion, no? To think I'm God, I need to, no. Sometimes people like this, they start meditating, they go in the morning and they say, I am making the sun rise. I am making the sun rise. I'm making the sun rise. And then the sun rises and they really think, oh, you see, I'm making the sun rise. It's like a madness. You follow? Real madness. Okay? So that's the ghost. Now, please, somebody tell me, what's the north digging? The snake. Who can tell me what's a snake? "19 participants. 2 participants escaped. Who can tell me? Okay, I tell you. The north digging is the mystic yoga. Like Astanga yoga, getting siddhis, getting perfections, mystic powers. And why this is like the snake? Because the snake, you heard about the Kundalini, right? The Kundalini is this energy which is in the, on this line of the chakras, which is sitting down there. And by raising this Kundalini, you get some sort of enlightenment. And on the way to this enlightenment, you get some sort of mystic powers. And this Kundalini is like a snake. It's just like a snake sitting there. And when you raise the snake, but it's very dangerous. There are many people, like for instance, in Germany, I heard, there are many people in the lunatic asylum, in the madhouse, because they did some try to Ashtanga yoga and thing. They raised the Kundalini, But this Kundalini is like a very strong energy, and they just fry their brains into a crisp. They just went mad. Just like if you go and put your hand in a very powerful source of electricity, you burn yourself, right? Your nervous system cannot manage. I think we all have touched live wires sometimes, and it's very shocking. But that little bit, 2020, 125, 2020, the body can manage. But when you have 10,000, 20,000 watts, it just burns you. So digging north means trying to get self-realization through raising the Kundalini through mystic yoga. And it's really, they can wipe you out. Okay, now last question. What is the Eastern digging? Somebody should get that. We talk about Karma Kanda. We talk about Jnana Kanda. We talk about Yoga Siddhi. So what is the Eastern way, which is very easy, and it gets to the treasure? Can we have somebody? Can we have a lady answering that? I see some very intelligent faces. What? Who's that? Who is speaking? Can somebody tell me what is East? I can't hear you. You can write in the chat or just speak loud and clear. So if South is karma, West is...
Somebody already written in the chat, but is writing privately. You should write it to everyone. Upala Prabhu, write it to everyone.
I didn't get it.
It's writing it privately to me. I think you should write it to everyone. Let me just post what he has written to everyone so that I can see it.
Okay.
That's what Upala Prabhu has posted to me privately.
Yes, very good. Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So, yes, devotional service. So those are the four basic paths. There are many sub-paths, but basic paths. And this is what Srila Prabhupada says. The Vyasadevas describe transcendental realization in different ways, namely by fruitive activity, karma, speculative knowledge, jnana, mystic power, which is yoga, and devotional service, which is bhakti. And why bhakti is the easiest? Why we say that? Not just because this is our path, we are Hare Krishna, so we say, no, this is the best. No, it's not like that. It's because actually bhakti, it's nature for the soul. Bhakti is nature. We want to love, we want to sing, we want to dance, we want to eat. And in bhakti, you can do all of this. We want to have friends, we want to have adventures. So you can have devotee friends, you can go in book distribution. It's a very big adventure. You can go open a temple, or even maintaining a temple is a big adventure. So you can have all that the soul naturally wants, and is also joyful. There is pleasure in singing. There is pleasure in prasada. There is pleasure in loving and serving the devotees. So the treasure of happiness, the treasure of love is very much available in bhakti. All the other people that have to struggle and they get basically nothing. Okay, they don't get Krishna. Maybe after a long time. But the devotee is fortunate. You can just chant Hare Krishna. You don't need to know Sanskrit. You don't need to do so super austerities, many fasting. Yeah, maybe a little fast, Ekadasi, Janmashtami. That's not a big deal. You don't have to do so many difficult pujas. You just chant Hare Krishna, do some Kirtan Yagya, serve the deities, which is also beautiful. And then you can get to perfection. So that's the story of the astrologer. The poor man with this conditioned soul is looking for happiness. He talks to all, I'm miserable. And the astrologer said, no, look, you have a path to glory, a path to happiness, very simple path. You just need to go to the bhakti, to bhakti. Krishna is our father, is our lover, our mother. We can reach him very easily if we are sincere. Okay, so this was my presentation. Any question or comment from anyone?
Please indicate by raising your hand if you have any question for Prabhu.
By hand raising, you can do it on the video, you can do it on the chat. Any hand raise, anybody wants to share an experience, a story, or a question. We're here to study the Bhagavatam, anything about Narada Muni, Vyasadeva. We have Sahadeva Prabhu, Hare Krishna, my old friend.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribo, where are you? Are you in Harrisburg or where?
Yes, I'm still in Harrisburg.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the lecture. I have one question about the demigods.
Oh, the demigods. Okay.
Yes. Demigods are very predominant in West Africa.
Okay.
Yes. And my question is in regards to bigger demigods and smaller. Until your lecture, I used to think that the lesser, like we know, especially in West Africa, were just ordinary spirits, but not demigods. And I'm not sure if such spirits, like spirits of mountains, spirits of certain rivers, spirits of certain minor things, do they fall under the category of demigods?
Well, okay. See, thank you. See, the demigod, of course, is an English word that means demigod, means alpha god or not some full god. And the word devata, it's, as I said, there are many controlling beings. Some they control very little, maybe control a pond or a river or a hill. So there are devatas, but very minor devatas. They're not like the big time devatas, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Surya. Those are big devatas. And some are just controlling, supervising a little aspect of nature or a local place. So we could call them local deities. I'm not sure if there are other Sanskrit terms separate from devatas. When you mention spirits, of course, spirits are not devatas, but sometimes some spirits are very powerful. So some spirits are they have powers because it depends on who they were in the previous life. So Srila Prabhupada explains sometimes people worship demons, worship human beings. Like you have ministers in Ghana or Nigeria or in Pennsylvania, and sometimes people worship them. They try to get some favor. They're not technically devatas, but they have power. You know, you go to the governor of Pennsylvania, or you go to the some minister in Ghana or Nigeria, they can actually help you or hurt you because they have money, they have influence. No, if you want a job, they can give you a job. So they have power, right? They can give you a job. It's okay. Here, they'll give you this job in this office, in this department. So there are millions of people, call them devatas, some are spirits, some are human being, incarnated human being, who have some power. So the principle is the same. But these are all material powers given by Krishna, and they're only time bound. Like a governor can only stay forever, can be elected 4 years, then another 4 years, another 4 years. Okay, 10 years, 10 times you can elect the governor, then he will also die. You've seen, I was in Ghana some 10 years ago when the president of the country died. So they have powers, but they also die. Lord Brahma also dies. Indra also dies. Indra lasts for a Manvantara, which is 300 million years, or human years, but then he also dies. So that was a technical question. I don't know if there are other terms, but we understand the principle that there are many, many controllers, Ishwaras. Some are small, some are big, but they're all coming and going. Okay? Thank you for your question. Anything else from anybody?
Yes, Prabhu, I have a question, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. So my my question is, when you are giving your lecture, you mentioned about the juju in West Africa, and all even though people they go to church or mosque, they still believe in the juju. And I remember one time when I was reading one book in school, there the writer wrote after describing the history of Nigeria, he wrote towards the end that then the Western religion, the colonial master, they came and they gave us religion just to bewilder our mind. Because after they have exploited us, so for us to forgive them, they give us religion. So that is why, even till today, even though people practice this so-called religion, still they still go to their traditional worship, which is their own original culture. So my question is that, how can we understand that these people they plan this to bewilder us? Because you mentioned in the script, to what we are reading today, you talk about the mind being bewildered by so many forms and names. So did these people plan this bewilderment for the African people, or it's just by arrangement, or it's just spontaneous, or it happened by chance?
Well, see, there is always a lot of mixture. There's a lot of politics, a lot of nationalism, a lot of cultural identifications. So frankly, I don't think that the people who introduced Christianity, they did it because, we are exploiting Africa, so we do this, so they feel to forgive us. I don't think so. There were also many, many very sincere missionaries who came. They really think either Islamic or Jesus. They really felt, and they still feel, this is the best. No, Jesus is the path. No, is the way. What they say is the way. What they call that? I'm not a great Christian, but
the truth and the light.
Yeah, the way, the truth, and the light. They really believe it, and they went to Africa not for a political reason, but just to preach the glory of God as they understood. Similarly, Islamic conquerors, they of course they wanted also to exploit Africa, but that was their understanding. Allah is great, Muhammad is his prophet, the best prophet, last prophet, and you got to focus on the Mecca. They really believe in this, and they really believe in this. Many of them, they really try to help people through this religion. It's not just a political maneuver. But we often see that when people eat meat, kill animals, their understanding of religion becomes touched by tamas. Tamas. So tamas means some darkness, people don't realize I'm eating animals. It's written in the Bible, you shouldn't eat meat, you shouldn't kill cows, but no, they become bewildered, So there's a lot of tamaguna, there's a lot of rajaguna, there is a lot of material desires. But I don't think that all the missionaries, all the preachers, there's always some mixture, some ego, some nationalism, but they were sincerely trying to give the best. Some people thought that Jesus is the best. Some people thought Muhammad is the best. But the point is that people go to the traditional religions, the traditional practices shows that people do religion for material purposes. Because they go to these practices, they don't ask for pure devotion, right? I mean, do you know anybody who goes to the juju, whatever master, the shaman, and says, please give me pure devotion, give me some potion for pure devotion, or give me some amulet, give me some talisman so I can become pure in my heart and love God? I don't think they do that. I mean, right? Nobody does that. So give me something so I can get this girl, or I can get this boy, I can get this career, I can get this power. Totally material. And let's remember that these things, they have a cost not only money you pay to the guy, but they have a cost because you become indebted to these ghosts, to the spirits. Nothing is free. There's an expression, there's no free lunch. You got to pay. So you become Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita very simply, yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitrim vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti mam yajinopi mam. He says in one verse, I think it's 9:25, he says, those who worship the devatas, go to the devatas. Those who worship the pitris, the ancestors, go to the planets of the ancestors, Pitrilok and so on. Bhutani yanti bhuteja, those who worship the spirits, they go to that dimension. Next life, they have a connection with that dark dimension. And those who worship me, Krishna says, they come to me in Goloka Vrindavan. So it's dangerous, it's dangerous. I'm not saying it's false. There are subtle powers. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but there are subtle powers. I mean, there are very powerful Bhutas, but it's not free. It's just like in the West, the West meaning Europe, there is this tradition of Faust. You might have heard from Germany, Faust. He does a pact, a contract, an agreement with the devil. You give me this and I give you my soul. It's a very common theme, sometimes also in movies and books, that you do a pact with the devil. Means the devil will give you things, but then you have to pay back. Your soul is lost. So there are subtle powers, dark powers, and you get something out of it, but then you become more and more covered. You become a ghost in the next life or things like that. Is that okay? Karna Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much. We have one answer up, Prabhu. George Omega.
Okay, so we'll take this one as the last question, okay?
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Prabhu, one day I was listening to...
Sorry?
Please, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes? Now you're frozen. Your picture is frozen.
I think his network is not stable.
Strange, because he's in a shop of what is that? All the phones and things.
Yes, yes.
So
Sadi Prabhu is raising his hand. Sadi Prabhu is raising his hand. If his network is not coming, we can take Sadi Prabhu.
okay, Sade Prabhu is always welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I hope the COVID-19 dies down so that next time you visit, you can pay me a visit here in Harrisburg.
Thank you for the invitation. Let's see.
Well, Prabhuji, we know Bhishma Dev is one of the 12 Mahajans. And Bhishma Dev went through so much pain, even though he knew certain stances he was taking were not really good, but he had already given his vow to defending his kingdom. And so he stood by those vows, and in the end, he was successful. So my question is, can our outside congregational members, if any of the members has any affinity to being a leader politically, can that be allowed or encouraged? Or every devotee has to shun away from politics altogether? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
No, see, there are many fields of action and social activities, call it politics, taking office, running for office. So basically, in democracy, politics means you run for office, right? You can be elected locally or nationally. So nothing is prohibited. Of course, it's a very intense field. There's a lot of pressure, and politics, you have to give so many promises. Sometimes you cannot keep, and you have to participate in things. Like, for instance, say you become the mayor of Harrisburg, or the mayor of Accra, or the mayor of Lagos. Look, there are so many slaughterhouses, and you cannot really close them, right? You can't just make an edict that close all the slaughterhouses. So so there is some, obviously, some karma involved. Of course, you can also do a lot of good. You can do a lot of good, stop corruption, work on stopping corruption, stop criminality, protect people. You can do a lot of good, but there is also, no, it's a dirty field. Now, but it's not prohibited. It's not like, no. An initiated devotee, or also non-initiated, that's its nature, to take responsibility. It's an administrator. He has some Kshatriya blood. Somebody has to take charge. So Srila Prabhupada says that the system of, sometimes he criticized democracy, okay? But he also said the system is good because the devotees can capture the government. In other words, if you have some people who appreciate your message, you can actually put somebody up who is a devotee, at least a devotee of God, who will do things which are more pious, more virtuous. So if the devotee, congregational or whatever, that's his nature. He likes to be active in society. He likes to take responsibility. He likes to change things, to improve things. That's his nature. And he has blessing from the guru or from the brahmanas. And that's his nature. Why not? So it's not prohibited, but it's a tough thing. Obviously, there are many intrigues. There are many politics. I mean, it's called politics because there are many politics. So you got to create alliances. Generally, it's not a great association. There are a lot of thieves. There are a lot of liars. There's a lot of corrupted people who will do anything for votes, who will do anything for power. So it's not a very clean place. So in general, a devotee may not be attracted. But if they have devotees who have a very thick devotional skin, and they can maintain the vows, they maintain the principles, they maintain their values, they don't also become corrupted and start stealing money and all that, then why not? It can be a service to society. We have to do something in society, like you work in the health, right?
Yeah.
So that's your contribution. You help people getting healthy again. So that's your contribution in society. Other devotees do other things. So if one becomes a politician with the right mood, can actually do a lot of good. But it's a tough environment.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much to everybody for being here. Our Amiga never came back somehow. And,
yes, so I think his network went off.
Okay, so what to do?
Yes,
so I'm very glad you invited me. I'm grateful. I hope you got something out of this hour together. I got a lot to see many friends and many fantastic souls who are practicing bhakti yoga, and they are digging in the eastern part, and so they'll get to the treasure.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Grantara Shima Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki
please
jai.
unmute themselves and chant one Hare Krishna for Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
See you. Hare Krishna.
So we are forcing people to perform austerity. How is it a form? I would say before they brought the matter up in class, I just it's not forced now. We go to research and say should not eat rice.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,